This was probably the most controversial Academy Awards ceremony ever. Everyone was outraged about something. A lot of people watched the exact same show but had different interpretations of how it all went down. But I think one thing that we can all agree on was there was one speech that did touch and move a lot of people. So Graham Moore won an Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay. He is actually the mastermind behind Imitation Game. And you know, when he went up to receive his award, he kind of talked about what he went through in his personal life when it came to bullying and how much that bullying had an impact on him. So I'm going to read you a part of his speech and then we'll discuss a little more. He said, "I tried to commit suicide at 16 and now I'm standing here. I would like for this moment to be for that kid out there who feels like she doesn't fit in anywhere. You do. Stay weird. Stay different. And then when it's your turn, and you're standing on this stage, please pass the same message along." Now, it's really interesting because a number of publications reported on this story, kind of talked about him and what he went through. A lot of publications got it wrong, though. They, for some reason or another, assumed that he's gay. He is not gay, but he was bullied and he also suffered depression. Now, in terms of the screenplay that he wrote for Imitation Game, it was about Alan Turing, who was basically the person who solved the... what was it called again?
The Enigma.
The Enigma, yes. He solved the Enigma, and he was never recognized for that because he was prosecuted for being gay. And then he committed suicide later on in his life, and after he committed suicide, he was finally recognized for his amazing achievement. But nonetheless, it was an interesting screenplay. He won the award, and I think his speech was a really important one to give.
So I loved it. Look, it was actually the most liberal Oscars I've ever seen. You know, conservatives always complain about that, but it's not really true. In this case, we had a speech about women's rights from Patricia Arquette. We had a speech about civil rights from John Legend and Common. We had the very end of the show, Inarritu, who the director who won for Birdman, talked about immigrant rights and a generation of immigrants that are building this country. And then we had this speech, and this might have been my favorite. I mean, there was all of those were great, but I think this one takes the cake, because it's not just about gay people or people who are abused or, you know, any one category. It was about, hey, the whole point of movie making is to tell your story.
Yeah.
Right? And it's okay to be different. That's kind of the point. I mean, if you were all the same, you wouldn't get to make a great movie.
Yeah, if we were all the same, then there would be no change in the status quo. There wouldn't be amazing creative minds out there. I love the fact, look, I love the message that this sends because, you know, there are those campaigns out there that say it gets better to those kids who do get bullied, right? But here's a prime example of that. Here's someone who was depressed, who was bullied, who almost contemplated suicide, yet he was able to show everyone that despite everything that happened in middle school or high school, he became a successful screenwriter for a very successful movie. And that's a good thing for people to see, especially, you know, people in grade school right now.
And it takes some balls to go out there in the Oscars and say, I almost committed suicide.
Yeah.
I mean, when he said it, it was jarring. Like, I sat back like, whoa, and it was powerful. And so I think that that's just a great help to any kid out there who's having trouble. And I got news for you. Gay, straight, race, doesn't matter. There's a lot of kids out there who are having had trouble, and they think, people think I'm weird, right? Or I'm a dork, or I'm a nerd, or I'm this, or I'm that, right? But what he's telling you is that there's power in that. It's not the disadvantage that they make it out to be in high school. Being just normal, which is, you know, what is considered great in high school, it's not really so great in real life.
It's not great in real life at all. In fact, all the people that I went to school with who were normal never really did anything exciting with their lives, you know? So it's okay to be different, and I love that he shows that he's an example of that. You're more likely to be successful.
Yeah, well, one last thing. Alan Turing. I haven't seen the movie yet, which is an outrage, and it's an outrage. And I want to go see it later this week. But I know his story. He helps win the war. I mean, it is not an exaggeration in the least bit. I mean, it was enormous that he broke the German code, right? And then they chemically castrate him after the war for being gay, and to the point where he takes his own life. I mean, it reminded me of Jesse Jackson's story about his father, about how he signed up for the military, his father did, went and fought the Nazis, and at one point, they captured some Nazis and they're on a train, and they make his dad sit behind the Nazis because he's black.
It's amazing.
And man, that puts a chill down my spine every time I think about it, right? So there we were fighting the bad guys, and the guys who helped us win that fight often didn't get much better treatment, right? So, but look, we've grown, we've gotten better, and now here's a situation where we're celebrating that guy's life and celebrating it with a guy who gets it, who made this brilliant movie, and so it is a good day in America.